G'day, I'm Mick.
And I'm Naomi.
Here we are, episode 5, Don't Risk a TV.
Today we're going to talk about alcohol management and how we can ensure responsible serving at private functions.
Now, I love a private function. I love to have a great drink at a private function, enjoy friends and family, but you've got to look after it, really.
You do. And generally we're not talking about the mature age, although it has been in the media.
It has been, yeah, that's right.
Can't self-regulate. So I was thinking that I would provide parents and young people some advice on how to manage alcohol at private events, particularly BYO. It's part of that duty of care. And also OH&S for security staff as well.
I mean, look at a BIO, you can have we'll say an underage type person coming in with, a litre bottle of Jack.
Correct. And there are some parents out there that think by utilising the BYO system, because it is outside the legislation in most states, then that's where their duty of care finishes, which is wrong.
Oh, look, I've seen some private parties over the years that, the underage person will get out of the car and the driver will give them a slab of beer and say, enjoy, get a taxi home.
So the message is young people can't self-regulate. So what we're going to do is provide you with some practical tips on how to manage BYO. And parents, it is a cop-out if you're doing BYO and think, well, it's not my responsibility on my property. Well, it is, because that's where duty of care
because it's your property,
comes in. So what we're going to do is just go through some tips on how to manage the alcohol, also ensuring that we're compliant with legislation. In all states, there's similar secondary supply legislation. So what I was going to do is go through that checklist now,
Okay,
Mick.
no problem at all.
So most importantly, check with your own state in regards to the secondary supply legislation. Obviously, there are fines if you, breach the legislation. So what I'm going to do is give you some information to ensure that you are compliant with the legislation. So basically, there'll be a number of screenshots as well as we go through to show people how we actually manage the BYO system. But basically on the night, as I've said before, you'll have a numbered alphabetical guest list. All right, so let's say, Annie Smith rocks up with her vodka double blacks, and on that guest list, she's number 1. So basically what we do, we have some booze bags. You can use any plastic bag. I know politically it's not right to use plastic bags, and you can gravitate to Hessian or whatever you like.
15 cents a bag, it's all right.
Exactly. So Annie Smith, one on her hand, one on the grog bag, and the grog goes in the bag. Now, prior to all this, what we're doing is we're also ensuring we're compliant with legislation. So we'll be checking proof of age if they're overage, because we treat it like a nightclub.
Absolutely.
So they would produce that. If they're minors, they produce student ID with a note. Now, it's really quite difficult in regards to ensuring if that note is ridgy-dig. So, look, parents, if you're unsure whether the note is, or if security are unsure whether the note is actually legitimate, ring their parents.
Ring the parents.
All right. So there's a couple of forms of consent that you can have. You can have your note. You can have a text message, as long, again, it's legitimate. And you can speak to the parents on the phone. Or
so are you saying you can't have a message on Facebook?
No message. Now, and also obviously if the parents are there, they can give that permission.
Absolutely, that's right.
But I've had a couple of scenarios where kids pretend to phone their mum and it's not their mum.
And it's not their mum.
So they've added the mum's number in the phone and put mum, but it's a girlfriend. So they've been caught out. It's only happened a couple of times. So once they're compliant, what happens is they get a stamp on their wrist. Now that stamp means that they're compliant with the legislation. And now their grog's bag and they've got a number on their hand. All right, so then that bag, the booze bags actually then get conveyed by parents to a managed bar. Now how we set up the bar, again, there's going to be images of that. So behind the bar, you'll see a bar manager. There's an image of one of my bar people. Now, it is obviously better to have someone with an RSA certificate.
Absolutely.
But an RSA certificate doesn't always mean they're competent. So it's good to have a combination of having experience as well as the RSA certificate. However, on private property, you actually don't need an RSA per se, as long as they have knowledge of managing and serving alcohol responsibly, because otherwise, Mick, it defeats the purpose if you have someone that has no experience.
Has no idea, that's right.
And sometimes using your nephew who might be 22, he may get a bit sidetracked with the beautiful women out there and forget how many drinks he serves someone.
That's right.
So try and use someone responsible. Now, obviously, behind that bar setup, again, we'll have images, will be numbered tubs, all right? So we're going to have numbered tubs behind the table. And they'll be numbered 1 to 10, 11 to 20. If there's 100 guests, you can have 10 tubs. So now with the number on the booze bag, it matches the tub. Now, I hope I haven't confused you.
No, it makes sense to me.
So when the kids come up to the bar, now they've got a number on their hand, and the number will match the booze bags that are in the tubs. We know they're compliant because they've got one stamp. And then the alcohol is then poured, because some of this alcohol is in glass bottles, and we pour it into plastic cups. Mick, why do we do that?
That's pretty straightforward. The cup smashes if we don't have any
Correct.
problems with people getting injured.
Yeah, and how often do young people take off their shoes?
All the time.
Or there's nothing worse than having glass in a swimming pool. Then you have to drain the pool, all that sort of stuff.
That's right.
So everything's decanted. If they're drinking cans, that's fine. They can drink cans. Now, on our bar, we've also got a number of small plastic cups with water. So basically,
a lot of legislation in every state, so there must be water freely available to drink at the bar.
Correct. So part of our recommendation is to have 2 by 15 litre water containers on the bar table, and that's basically roughly for 100 kids. You have X amount of large plastic cups, 4 per guest, and small plastic cups, 4 per guest. The small cups, what we do is we introduce the water chaser system 2 hours after the party starts, generally. If it's an after party, earlier, because we know they're getting stuck into it early.
Before they even get there.
So it's about sort of monitoring that crowd. If you think that they're, boisterous, they're getting a bit intoxicated, then bring in that water early. Now, what it means is, and you can have a bit of fun with it, you set up your water shots, they drink their water before they get their next drink. The reason why we set it up like that is because they're all going to want to drink the water to get the booze.
That's right.
But if you hand out bottled water or if you make it self-administer, they're not going to drink the water, right? They'll chuck it at DJ or something, do something dumb. So now what we've got is we've got a water system, and what you'll find is by the end of the night, they'll actually reduce the amount of alcohol they intake. It does, and what happens is they become sober.
Look, over some private functions I've done in the past, we'll have especially if it's a young person's function, we'll say 18 to 21. That we'll have there that the bar will serve alcohol for 45 minutes.
Correct.
There will be a 15-minute period that all you can get is a soft drink, a cup of tea, a cup of water, whatever.
Period. Yeah, and that's another system that we do. Obviously what I do with my system is that system, and therefore they don't have to have that break. But obviously, whatever system works, and this system's been effective because of that water. They have to drink. I
found by having that break, they're not coerced into I must drink alcohol all the time. And so look, I could only get a water. I was really thirsty. I drank a water, and they're not pressured by their friends.
Correct.
I was thirsty. I needed a drink. I got a water.
So look, the water. Look, I actually get booked on my services based on that water system. I have parents sort of obviously raving about it because it is really. I guess over the 14 years I've been doing the parties, that we've tried certain systems and some don't work. But what we found with this system is that it's really effective. Now, here's the tip. I've got teenagers, you got teenagers. Oh, yeah. So here's the thing, parents. When you're doing the BYO management system, you don't relay to your kids, this is about control, we're controlling your drinks. This is how you sell it to your kids. You say to them, or to our young adult kids, you say, we are bagging the alcohol because we're going to stop people pinching it.
That's
Don't
right.
ever mention control management to a teenager, you're going to get their back up. Yeah. But to the parents, it is about having some control because they're on your property. Again, it's about providing that duty of care and responsible serving. And, every teenager, just about every teenager has a story about their drinks getting pinched.
Absolutely.
And you would have worked parties where that's happened.
Hey, look, another technique I've had where, we have a party where the drinks are actually supplied.
Correct.
Where
that's the other option.
That's the other option. Now, what we've done there is we've actually had like a card system that goes onto a wrist. And as they get a drink, it gets punched in the card. Correct. So you can say, okay, we've allocated that 6 drinks for the night for every person that's there.
Yeah. Now, obviously you got BYO and supply systems. The reason I talked about the BYO is because it gives parents another option because they think that supply is the only way. But with supply, obviously, we use a similar system with the water system. And also another trick is with the slushy system, when you're actually topping up at the end of the night, put water in the bottle of vodka so it looks like you're actually topping up with grog.
That's right. Yeah.
It's an old trick.
But it works well.
It does. And they think, oh, great, there's more grog going in it. But again, it's some of the little tricks that we use. But we're nearly out of time. Anything else to add to that?
Oh, look, I'm sure we'll discuss more of this in the future.
It's something very topical. But Thanks for watching. If you'd like to, if you like the video, hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to our channel. Hit the notifications button so you don't miss the next episode. If you have any questions, leave us a comment and see you for the next one.
See you next time.